Okay. Can you hear and see me now?
Yes.
There she is.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know y'all were waiting for me.
No, it looks like you were having trouble logging in. So, okay. We are here today on our initial permanency hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record this morning. All right. Before we, let's go ahead and take announcements, and then I need to speak with Mr. Carnes just briefly. So,
he's working in Dallas, and
he's
I guess
here.
like
Tessie,
he's
he's
logged
here.
in. He's
he's
logged in.
here. Okay, I'm just kidding.
All right, Mr. Trout, go ahead.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jalissa Bird is my privacy specialist. We're present ready.
Stacey Brown on behalf of the mother Tesla Bar Savage. My client's present. We're ready.
Stacey Zavala on behalf of Evelyn.
All right, and Mr. Carnes is also present. Mr. Carnes, have you filled out paperwork yet to see if you qualify for a court-appointed lawyer? You'll have to unmute.
No, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Bird, has he been given that paperwork?
Yes, we filled out the paperwork, I believe in October. And I believe the paperwork was lost. They were supposed to turn it in. It was lost. So I have the paperwork again. So they do have it. We went over it last month. So it was filled out. They just lost the paperwork. So they do have a new form. And we're supposed to turn in last month, but I'm not sure if they were able to get that done.
Okay, I haven't seen it. So, Mr. Carnes, it's, you're in a legal proceeding, and I would think that you would want the advice of an attorney. Clock's ticking on this. So, do you have that paperwork?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is it filled out?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then you need to get that back to Ms. Bird so she can get it to my office and I can look at it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, then. What do we have new from St. Francis then?
At this time from the court report, I don't have anything new. Parents do have their family plans. They're signed. They're currently working services. Evelyn's doing well in her placement. She's meeting her milestones. She's developmentally on target, learning to crawl, and just overall doing well where she's at.
Okay, so have we started any services?
Yes, Tesla has been able to complete, I would say, pretty close to half of her services, if not more. She has just a few classes to finish up. And then for Mr. Carnes, he did go to an inpatient rehab for his probation. So he did miss a month due to inpatient. So we talked about classes that he needed to get signed up for. So he has, I believe, just one service completed, but I did reach out to his probation to see what classes he has to take, just to see if there's anything that we could possibly, use. I know he mentioned he sees a counselor, so just to see if we can use his counselor in his sessions that he's been going to. So we're still working on Mr. Carnes getting those services completed.
Okay, and during inpatient, I mean, normally there'd be an opportunity to maybe work some other things. Do we know whether he's done some other classes while he was there?
Yes, he gave me a schedule. The schedule says the classes, so I have reached out to get more information. So I did leave just a voicemail with the Synacor staff. So I just need to get the confirmation of those classes and then the counselor that he's seeing at the outpatient. So I'm just waiting on confirmation from Synacor.
Okay. All right. And it looked like when I read the report that some drug tests were pending. Have we gotten any of those back?
I have not. The February 17th, I checked this morning and it still has not come in yet.
All right, then, Ms. Grant.
Your Honor, just an update since the court report. Tesla lacks her psychosocial, so we will need to see if it makes any further recommendations once it's complete. She has one counseling session left and then 6 DV group sessions remaining. So those are the remaining services that are in the current plan ordered by the court. And of course, if that psychosocial brings back anything else, we understand that, those will also be required and maybe made to order the court at our next meeting, but hopefully they would be complete before we would meet again, Your Honor. And Tesla, it's our understanding that we may be working up to an unsupervised visitation at some point, but we haven't quite made it to that yet. That was in our plan. She's been staying good, in touch with her caseworker. Well, they've both been very busy and haven't, had good contact, but that's no fault of either party. They've just been both very busy. But she's looking forward to finishing everything, and she would love, based on the speed of her services and just those items lacking, she would love an increase in visitation if possible. But working up to those unsupervised is very important to her. She's missing a lot of milestones, obviously.
All right, Ms. Bird, is that sort of part of the St. Francis plan as she's checking off these services and that we will increase visitation?
Yes, we did have her do an OSAR evaluation, and with that evaluation, she did deny the services. She did go back for another OSAR eval. I don't have confirmation of that OSAR. My understanding is the person who completes the OSAR evaluations, it's a new person. So I'm just trying to get the recommendations from her new OSAR. So that's part of why we haven't moved forward. There was a positive hair strand and then refusal of the OSAR evaluation recommendation for inpatient. And so her going back to do her OSAR eval, I'd like to see those recommendations and that Miss Barsavage follows those. And then our plan is to have more unsupervised. Evelyn does live out of town. So we're just trying to see what works best for Tanner's mother, who lives out of town with Evelyn and brings her to town for those visits. But that is the plan.
Okay. Mr. Carnes, let me ask you, do you believe that you're the father of the child, or do you have any doubt, or do you want genetic testing?
No, ma'am. I do believe that she is mine.
Okay, well, because you still don't have an attorney, that's something that normally your attorney would have talked to you about. So I said, if you had an attorney, that's something your attorney would have talked to you about. So that's why I'm asking you now, because if you want genetic testing, we need to get going on that because it takes a while. So are you telling me you do not want to have genetic testing, that you believe you are the father?
I do believe, yes, ma'am.
All right. Are you comfortable with me adjudicating you as the father of the child today and legally establishing that parent-child relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Understand, once I do that, there's no going back.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, you can't later, it's too late to ask for genetic testing.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you want to talk about today or that you have questions about?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I ask my client on the record regarding the genetic testing, just to close that loop as well from her end?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Tesla, do you understand that since you and Mr. Carnes were not married when the child was born, that there is not a legal establishment of him as the father in this case?
Okay.
And so what the judge is going to do is she is going to adjudicate him as the father, which will, from today forward and forever, make that legal connection and make him the legal father as well as the known father to you. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you understand that that legal connection can't be changed. You can't go back later for example, say you and Mr. Carnes were to break up at some point or not have a relationship, neither you nor Mr. Carnes can come back and say at a future point that he's not the father and that you want to undo it, and that he would be liable to support that child till 18 years of age by law.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you have any doubt in your mind that he's the father today?
No.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Grant. All right, and Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, I got to meet Evelyn the other day. She came to visit at my office, and she's precious. She is with Mr. Carnes' mother, doing very, very well. It looks like parents are making some steps forward. I do know that I believe that placement and parents work well together. I think that placement is helping to support in terms of rent and things like that. That is a temporary, get back up on your feet kind of support, and that will be coming to an end. So I think they're working on being able to support themselves in that way. Evelyn's doing great in placement. I do recommend that continue. There are some just logistics in terms of visits because Evelyn is a little bit outside of Amarillo normally, but they as a family travel regularly to Big Spring. They kind of go back and forth because of some obligations that they have there. So we may have to work out something a little bit creative in terms of, longer visits when she's here, and make up for that time when she's gone in Big Spring. But it appears that they're working well together.
Okay, great. All right, then. Today, then, I'm going to adjudicate Mr. Carnes as the father and establish the parent-child relationship between the two of them. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue the child's current placement. I find that there's a continuing danger to return the child home today, that we're using reasonable efforts to reunify the family, and that I think parents are in compliance with their service plans. We're making progress, so that's good. We will have our next review hearing on June 25th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. Okay, appreciate it. Mr. Carnes, get that paperwork to Ms. Bird ASAP, because you really need to have an attorney guiding you through this.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you all
you.
very much. Here today on our review hearing,
bye-bye.
we are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming. Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jennifer Campos is my permanency specialist. We're present and ready.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Michael Ballard. My client is present and we're ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Sarai.
All right, then, what do we have news since the court report was filed? We found placement, I guess is the first question.
So she is still in a step bed. We actually did a walkthrough on a kinship person that we have a home study hoping to be done, but we did a walkthrough ourselves to do an unauthorized kinship placement. And we sent that over to my director today and he approved it. We just have to sign it and everything should be good to go until we do get that home study back. So I'm hoping to have her in Amarillo this week. And placed with her sister and her sister's adoptive mom.
And it's just unauthorized at this point because we haven't completed the home study process.
Correct, yes, ma'am. And with her not having a stable placement, we want to get her stabilized, and all this moving around is not good for her. And we want her to be in a stable home. That way she can be with family and hopefully mend some relationships that have been, broken to all of this stuff.
Okay. Is she amenable to that?
As far as I know, yes.
So we're looking at this happening probably pretty quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think I read Mr. Ballard has completed his services. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So we're just waiting to maybe get family therapy started as soon as Soraya is willing to do that. And
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
that will clearly be better and easier in person.
Yes.
Okay. All right, then, Ms. Sapien.
I was just going to add what you just touched on, Judge. I'm happy to hear she's coming back to Amarillo, and I hope she'll be open to therapy with Mr. Ballard. I know he wants his daughter home, and so if she's open to that therapy and building that relationship, I know that would make him very happy. And I also see, Mr. Ballard, that you had something to say. Do you need to say something?
No, ma'am. I'm really just trying to get through this process and complete it and try to get my daughter back home and go on with our lives.
Okay. Are you, Mr. Ballard, open to going to therapy with Sarai when she returns to Amarillo?
Oh, yes, ma'am. We tried to set that up before, but she didn't want to do it at that time. So, we didn't get to complete that part of the process.
Okay. I don't have anything else, Judge.
All right, Ms. Vaughn.
Your Honor, I actually have not been able to make recent contact with Sarai just because of the different changes in placement and things that were going on with her. Jennifer's kept me updated in terms of what's going on, so I've got lots of reports. This is the first that I've heard that placement was approved. I'm glad to hear that. From all of my talks with her over the course of this case, unless something has drastically changed, then she will be very happy with that. I mean, that's, we've talked about that as a possibility all along. I know that her opinions about Dad have kind of wavered, but I believe, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I believe maybe her hesitancy to do that therapy may have been that she didn't necessarily believe that Dad wanted to do that or that Dad wanted her home. I'm cautiously optimistic that if we can explain, hey, Dad's done his services and he's interested in building this relationship back with you, I think she might be interested. I mean, I think that was the hesitancy before, is that she wasn't sure if Dad really wanted that. So I'll be talking with her in the next few days, and it will get much easier once she's back here in Amarillo, and hopefully we can get that started.
Okay, then, sounds like, I hope it's progress. I hope that we get her moved, and I hope that she will, abide by the rules, stay in school, all the problems that we're having right now. So, all right, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue her step-bed placement till we get her moved. That'll approve the unauthorized placement. Find there's a danger to return the child home now, more due to the child's issues than certainly to Mr. Ballard. And I'll find the department's using reasonable efforts to reunify the family. We're scheduled for our final on April 23rd, 2024, and that'll be a 9:00 docket. We are rapidly approaching our dismissal date. So hopefully this will at least go well, and then we'll see what options we have at that point in time. All right. I'd love to get going on that family therapy as soon as we can convince everybody it's the thing to do. Okay. Thank you all very much. Mr. Ballard, I appreciate your cooperation.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Y'all have a good day.
All right.
Thank
See you.
you, Judge.
Bye. Thanks, Michael, for being here.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
We're here on
Bye.
a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom for live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Mickey Lane is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Brooks Barfield for Mom, Stacy Thomas. She is not present, as the court has noted. I am ready to proceed, however.
On behalf of the father, Ernesto Gonzalez, Your Honor, I'm ready to proceed. I do not believe he will be present today.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the kids.
Okay, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
Your Honor, the children continue to do well with placement. I have still not located mom or dad. I did notice that father was arrested for controlled substance possession January 6th. I was unable to see him in Potter County. I did get notification that this mother has a current warrant out of Potter County. We were going to ask for possible mediation since this is the second permanency hearing, I believe.
I would love to send you all to mediation, but unless Mr. Barfield or Ms. Lucero are able to find their clients, there's not much they're going to be able to do.
Yeah, I think that just clogs up people's schedules without clients because we can't agree. I mean, I agree. I love mediation, but I don't think it would be productive in this case because unless my client gets picked up, I have no contact.
Yeah, that's the problem. And they're not visiting. Work no services.
And the children have been with this placement basically since birth as well.
What's placement want to do?
She's working with our kinship specialist. She has to finalize a divorce and work on getting her license, but she's willing to be long-term care for the children. So we were going to try to get her license to adopt them.
So long-term goal is that she would adopt. Okay. All right, Mr. Barfield, anything?
No, Your Honor. I mean, quite frankly, I hate to be the one to suggest this. This needs to go to a file.
Well, it's headed that way.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Lucero, anything?
Nothing further to add, Your Honor. I did not realize that he'd been rearrested. I did look at the Odyssey, and I know that he's on probation, but I'll continue to try to locate him. But I really don't have anything else to add.
I assume he bonded out.
But I'll double check, and if he's out there, then I'll make contact, and I'll see what he wants to do. If I'm able to contact him, and I'll reach out to Daniel and the parties and just see if maybe we can get something resolved.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. All right, Mr. Baldwin.
Judge, I was just gonna say, we'd ask to go ahead and do order drug screens and stuff on both parents if we are able to find them.
Sure. Okay, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, I got to visit with the kids in grandmother's home again. They continue to do very well there. They're very bonded and comfortable in that home. As Ms. Lane mentioned, I think they've lived there their entire lives. And I would recommend that placement continue and hope she can get that licensing done.
Okay, then I will order the drug screens for both parents, Harry and UA, if they are located. I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator. I'll continue the children's current placement. I find there would be a danger to send the children home to parents at this time. I think we've used reasonable efforts to try to reunify the family. The parents are not in compliance with their service plans. And I will see everybody back for our final on May 7th of 2024. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. All right, we are here today in each case.
Thank you, Judge.
Review hearing. And we are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right. We will go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Judge, I'm looking for Jennifer Mays and Aaron Sessions. They both should be logging on. But when they log on, they'll be my worker and my supervisor.
Okay, don't have them yet.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here and ready.
Natalie Archer for the mother, Tashiana Klein. I don't see my client on the screen. Is she in the waiting room?
I have no one in the waiting room.
Brooks
Jerry
Barfield.
Morales.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Jerry Morales, for respondent father, Cameron Douglas Coleman. He is still incarcerated at Randall County Jail. Ready.
Brooks Barfield for J. Rowe Tyler. He is present and ready. I'm ready as well.
Jeff Hill on behalf of alleged father Daryl Anthony in the Kingston Tyler case. Judge, I'm present. Mr. Anthony is not. I'm not expecting him.
Jay Michelson on behalf of Darnell Donald on the Coleman child. His whereabouts are unknown, and I'm ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the kids.
Janelle Gary with CASA. And Your Honor, if Anna Castanon is in the waiting room, she's the advocate on this case.
Nobody in the waiting room. So if they come in, I'll let them in. All right, so Mr. Trapp, I don't have anybody. I don't know that Miss Kirksey knows.
She just messaged me, Judge, and said that Miss Sessions is trying to log on. She's in her car, but she's pulled over and trying to log on. Sorry, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, let's just start out of order then. Okay, Miss Archer, I'm gonna see if you've got anything to report today.
I really don't. I was hoping my client would be on. She did receive the link. She was still residing with her mother and working on her services. She's completed parenting and the psychosocial, but I know she's had a little bit of trouble making those drug tests, but we've been in contact, Your Honor.
And Judge, while we're discussing mother, I believe my clients will be asking for her to do another OSAR. They've asked her to do a second one previous, and she hasn't done it. She had a positive test and then has missed some drug screens. So we are looking for her to do another OSAR assessment and for her to drug screen UA and hair follicle today.
I ordered her to do the other OSAR at her last hearing.
Yes, ma'am. And I think we just want that brought up again and reiterated because she has not done that yet.
Okay, it's already out there, but I'll just, say it one more time. She's been ordered to do another OSAR.
Yes, ma'am.
Part of her service plan.
And I'll text her about it again today.
All right. And we'll talk about drug tests here in a few minutes. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Archer?
No, I'm sorry, Judge. That's all I have to report today.
All right, Mr. Barfield.
Thank you, Judge. I have some notes here that I'm going to go through. Looks like it's my understanding the department took the information for an ICPC, but I don't know if anything has been accomplished on that yet. So there's that out there. I think there was some notes here that my client has a medical marijuana card. I think that there may have been I read in the report, there may have been some tests and everything like that. So that might be something that we need to address just to make sure everything's going properly. I have a note here that Pharaoh is acting out at the foster home that he's in. For some reason, thinks his daddy is lying to him about getting him back. It looks like Kingston's biological father or his family are not wanting to step up to take him. Of course, J. Rowe has always held the position he's willing to take Kingston. So essentially, those are the notes that I have in regards to this case. I think my client has completed all of his services that have been asked by the department at this particular juncture. So obviously, if Mr. Tyler has anything to add, I'd be more than happy to have him add anything at this point.
Aren't we just really waiting on the ICPC?
Yeah, that's kind of what that whole point of that was.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, then Mr. Morales.
I don't have much to report, Your Honor. Mr. Douglas Coleman does not anticipate being, barring some sort of PMC, he doesn't anticipate being out to be able to work services. He is charged federally and anticipates, again, being incarcerated during a full amount of time. So he knows that he's pretty dependent on mom, and so he's hopeful that, you know, he doesn't get terminated and she can get that done, and then he'll be able to come out and see what he can do at that point. That's all I have to report.
Okay. All right, Mr. Michelson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've had no contact with Darnell. I have no telephone number or address. According to the permanency report, he's unlocated. They've attempted to find him through finders, and still no information on him.
All right, and Mr. Eldridge didn't have anything to report. Mr. Hill.
Judge, Mr. Anthony, you know, we were wanting, well, the department was wanting to have him take his paternity test, and he's been unresponsive on that. So I don't know what to say.
Okay. All right, then I think we've got the department here in St. Francis now, so we'll back up and I'll let them, well, at least Ms. Sessions is in. Ms. Mays looked like fell out. So Ms. Sessions, can you give us an update?
Michaela said you were wondering about the ICPC that had been submitted. We got it returned from Oklahoma. There was a couple of things that were missing, and I believe the missing documents were resubmitted last week or the week before. So that's still pending. Mom has not really done much of anything. She hasn't been drug screening. We actually had to stop her visits last week due to the lack of screens, and the screens she did do were positive. Also last week, she caused a scene at the visitation house with the kids present. She was habitually late to her visits, like 30 minutes or more late every single week. So last week she showed up about 30 minutes late, and we did not allow her to have that visit. And she was screaming and cussing at my worker, or the worker watching the visit. With the kids there was also other families in the home. So I spoke to Miss Zavala, and we decided to stop her visitation after that. Mr. Tyler is still in Oklahoma, living with his aunt. I believe he is working. He has provided pay stubs to the department. He did test positive, I believe, in January for marijuana. He reports he has a card, but he hasn't provided a copy of that card, that he has a prescription. And then the rest of the dads are, the one dad is in jail, Coleman's in jail, and the other two we have not been able to locate. The girls are doing really well at High Plains. No issues with them there. The boys' placement actually put a notice on them, and they're being moved on Friday to another foster home. Or Thursday, I believe. I'm sorry.
Why was the discharge? What was the reason?
Pharaoh's behaviors in the home, both in home and at daycare. The current foster home was having to take off a lot of work to go deal with him at the daycare, and it just was not sustainable for them to continue to do that. I know that the visits were a big trigger for him with mom also. The hope is that now that those are no longer going on, that he will hopefully stabilize a little bit better.
They're still going to be together?
Yes, ma'am. The boys will be together and the girls will remain at High Plains.
All right, then.
Judge, I don't know if you saw the note. Mr. Tyler messaged a while ago and said he can see everybody, but his audio and video is not working for his side.
I've been communicating with him through the chat feature, letting him know what's going on, kind of like a really great court reporter.
So, like a really great court reporter, communicate to him that he needs to send that medical marijuana card ASAP.
Already done.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Anticipating like a good court reporter. Okay, Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, there's kind of a lot going on right now in that I think the visits with mom were potentially triggering for all of the kids. As Ms. Sessions said, with the lack of progress on mom, the lack of drug testing. She was being provided transportation and still was half hour late. And even the girls told me about the visit with mom where she was screaming at everybody. So when they approached me, I thought that was the appropriate thing, was to stop those visits. The girls are doing great. Got to see their roller skating skills. They're doing really good where they are. The boys, Pharaoh has struggled with behavior. Placement there talks about, however, how good the visits are between Pharaoh and dad, and how good the visit connection is also with Kingston as well. And that was positive. I know before we could consider placing Kingston with him, we'd need that ICPC, but placement, who's been able to watch some of those interactions, talk about them being productive and helpful. The boys are going to be moving, but they are going to be moving together. And the sibling visits will continue, just without mom there present for the time being.
Okay. But the ICPC is also addressing about the placement of Kingston.
No, ma'am, I believe the ICPC is just for placement of Pharaoh at this time.
I'm sorry, I was confused on that. I thought it included him as well.
Is there a way to get it amended, or are we going to have to start all over with another ICPC on Kingston?
That I do not know, but I would definitely follow up.
Okay.
Yeah, my client is all on board with I mean, both kiddos.
We do have a legal risk placement out. We sent it out for all 4 kids, just in case something happened with Mr. Tyler. So the adoption team is currently looking for a legal risk home for all the kids to be together.
Other than the medical marijuana card, is there anything else that we're asking from Mr. Tyler?
If he can provide the medical marijuana card, that would be great. If he cannot provide that card due to him testing positive earlier in the case for marijuana and methamphetamines, we would be requesting that he complete an OSAR just to see if any additional services would need to be done because of those 2 positive tests.
He did send me the verification, and it has an account number verifying that he was approved for the medical marijuana. He sent that to me yesterday, so I have that, and I'll put that in file.
Yeah. All right. And CASA.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I'm going to make this quick. Everything with the children are doing, they're doing well. They just, everything stays the same. Mr. Anthony and Mr. Coleman both have been requesting DNAs done, and CASA would like to see that get done. Otherwise, everything stay as is.
Your Honor, can I add one more thing?
Yes.
If we get to a point where we are looking at placing Pharaoh back with his dad, I do believe it would be in his best interest to do it once and not do the weekend visit and then back and weekend visit and back. I think that would be incredibly hard on him. And placement and I were actually discussing that as well. That it's kind of the back and forth and in between that's been really hard on him and triggering some of that behavior. So it's my position that if we get that information back and we're looking to make that move, that we should simply make that move and not have him come back and forth.
Okay. I just really want to know if we can get this home study amended to cover the other child. I sure hate to wrap this up on just one child and then we got to start that process all over again because we know how long that takes. So that is like a priority question. Okay. Anybody have anything further?
Nothing further for me, besides the drug screens on mom.
No, ma'am. And Mr. Tyler just sent me a message again reiterating the agreement that he'd be more than willing to be placement or a permanency or what have you. Don't let my semantics get in the way. So other than that, no, he's just waiting for the same thing we are, is that report to be done so that we can get this resolved.
All right. Okay, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue the children's placements. Find that there would be a danger to return the children home today. Find that Mr. Tyler is certainly in compliance with his service plans. All the other parents are not at this time, and that the department's using reasonable efforts to reunify the children with family. I will order Ms. Klein to drug test hair and UA by 4 p.m. today. And I'll see everybody back for our final, which is scheduled April 30th of 2024. That's on a 9 o'clock docket. Of course, the case has been extended, so our dismissal date is May 3rd. Have we talked about trying to mediate anything in this case? Case says
We haven't, but we're definitely willing to on the Honor. We did. It's so many moving parts and so many missing parties in here.
well, that's the problem. I mean, you might be able to mediate Pharaoh's case and maybe Tanaya's case. Because we know where those folks are. I understand the problem that we would have with Coleman and Tyler,
Yes, ma'am.
those two cases.
Yeah, and we'd be amenable to even an informal agreement, rule, whatever we can do, if that's what we need to do as well, Judge, because I think, I think J-Rose doing everything he can be doing at this particular point. So I think that's the direction. I don't know that that's not the direction we're headed. It's at least, I think the key right now is the modification of the ICPC to see if we can get both kiddos involved in that thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna just leave that with you all, whether you want to try to get together and do informal settlement, or if you want to try to mediate on at least Pharaoh's case and then Tanaya's case.
Yes.
And then because I know you don't have a whole lot of time between now and then, so a couple months. Okay.
And I will get with my clients, and then I'll reach out to Mr. Barfield and Mr. Morales and Ms. Archer.
All right, sounds good. All right, I appreciate everybody. So thank y'all, and Ms. Sessions and Ms. Mays, let's try to find out about that ICPC as fast as we can and see if we can't back the bus up just a bit.
Yes, ma'am. I'll check on that today, and I'll let Stacy know, and so she can relay the message.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
Judge, can I speak to Ms. Sessions and Ms. Mays real quick?
Our final
I know we got another hearing real quick, but just for a second.
Zoom, we are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record this morning. Okay, we'll go ahead and take everybody's announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Haley Grissom is my permanency specialist. Your Honor, we're present and ready, and we would be asking today in lieu of a final to go into a monitored return, and we can speak more about that after everybody else announces. Your Honor.
Natalie Archer for Mother Donnell Obert.
Jerry Morales.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Jerry Morales for unknown father. Ready.
Ken Arajo for the father, William Crutcherson, present, ready.
Bill Taylor for Father Philip Crutchfield. Had no contact with him.
Okay, and we believe that
yeah.
that he is one of the same, but we have the discrepancy in the names. So, okay.
J.C. Zabala on behalf of Grace.
All right, then. Have the idea of the monitored return been circulated among council?
Yes, ma'am. I received an email from Mom's attorney, Ms. Archer, last night, that she was in agreement, had some reservations, but she's in agreement with it. Of course, as far as the fathers, we don't have a known and no contact with the fathers. Ms. Naranjo, stated she had not had any contact, but would have no objection to it. I've not heard back from Mr. Morales and Mr. Taylor on it. Ms. Zavala said that she would be in agreement with it. Child's been back with Mom for, I guess now about 6 weeks or so. I think things have been going well. I think we're working on with Mom's job and trying to help with some daycare and get some other things settled out before and monitor a little bit before we're out, Your Honor, is what we're asking to do.
All right. So obviously, Ms. Naranjo, Mr. Taylor, probably neither of you have any, and Mr. Morales, any real objection to that?
Of course, no objection. Yeah.
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Right. And I still have some concerns, having read the report, about some of the kind of what I would call unfinished business, you know, the loose ends that we have. So I think that the monitored return in lieu of a final is a good idea. So I will approve that. I want to go ahead and conduct a review hearing, and let's talk about very specifically what we still need to see happen. And maybe that can, you know, if we can get those details ironed out before our next hearing, then, you know, Ms. O'Bear, we may be ready to get out and be done with this. So, all right. So I guess Ms. Grissom gonna give me a report today.
Yes, ma'am. So Grace has been back at home since January the 15th. When I've seen her, she's seemed happy. She has everything she needs. She is well alive. I would say that she is coming out of her shell more and more the last couple of weeks when I've been by. So I have no concerns there. She was evaluated by Therapy 2000 just because we thought that her speech may be a little behind, but there were no concerns. She didn't qualify for any kind of developmental therapies. We did get daycare, part-time daycare through the state approved, which we would also be able to provide full-time, but Mom just wants part-time at the moment. So that I believe it's set up to start this week, yesterday. And I believe today was her first day. Mom said that she wanted the daycare to go ahead and start like being able, so she could go to daycare, Grace could go to daycare, she would be able to go job search for somewhere close to the daycare. So that's kind of where we are there. She did have a program that she found out that would be able to transport Grace to daycare every morning. But I visited with her yesterday and she said that she doesn't think she wants to do that. She enjoys walking to daycare, which we know on. There's some concern with that because, you know, weather isn't always going to be great. But she does know of the program that would be able to transport Grace to daycare every day. Besides that, I haven't been able to locate or talk to either one of the fathers or the father. So that is where we are. We would just like the monitored return so we can just continue to monitor random drug tests and just help her out with anything that she needs.
How far is it from where she lives to the daycare?
It's about 3 blocks.
Okay. Not very far.
Not too bad.
All right. Does St. Francis feel like the child's got appropriate clothing for, you know, all kinds of weather?
Absolutely. Yeah. She has a ton of every kind of clothing, every kind of season.
All right. Well, children have survived for generations walking through the street, so I think probably it's okay.
Gonna do the transportation thing. I just had to get a doctor's note and all that, so I'm gonna still have that in place.
Get the first part of it. Okay, then, Ms. Archer?
One question I had, Haley, I know it was an issue and y'all may have resolved it yesterday after Donnell and I talked, but does her pediatrician have confirmation that Grace has been back home?
I was able to do that.
Okay, so that's not an issue?
No, I emailed the paperwork to the pediatrician and it was cleared up.
Okay, and was that your only concern other than the wonky drug test?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then Judge, I think they got that straightened out. That was my only issue.
Okay. Ms. Aubert, what is your transportation situation going to look like? Not necessarily to get to and from the daycare or work, but I mean, for everything else.
I have my recovery family, my church family give me rides whenever I need. If I can't get rides from one of them, I take Uber. And then I also have if it's a medical trip, I can get a medical ride for myself or my daughter.
Okay. Do you have a driver's license?
I don't. I haven't for quite some time. I have MS and I had gotten into an accident some time ago after exacerbation, and I don't feel comfortable. That's not something I'm comfortable with at this time.
Do you have surcharges out there on your driver's license or?
Yes, ma'am. Back in Colorado.
Okay. All right, but you feel like you can get you and or Grace wherever you need to get.
Yeah, we're in a great location. We're like off 15th and Georgia. Everything's within blocks of us, literally. So we walk down there all the time anyway to go play, to go to the park. Like I said, if it's a medical thing, I can get a medical ride through Superior with Grace, and then there's the Axe Connect that will take me to her daycare, and I'll get that in place this week for sure. I just hadn't got a chance because I just finally got my doctor to fill out the papers like last Thursday for that.
Okay. What about like access to groceries?
I'm sorry?
What about access to a grocery store?
Oh, that's also right down the block. And then I get I pay for Uber Eats and DoorDash, and I get groceries delivered as well.
Okay.
But like yesterday after church, one of my church friends took me to Walmart, took Grace and I to Walmart, so I could do kind of a larger shopping. I never really have a problem getting around.
All right. Okay, Ms. Naranjo, anything?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Taylor?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Morales?
Nothing to add, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I got to visit Grace and Donnell at the home. I think as parents, many of us have been there at 6 p.m. when the kid is overtired and overstimulated, and Grace was having a hard day, but Donnell did fine. I do think a monitored return would be good to make sure, we can make all of this work without Donnell driving, but it's just a lot more working pieces, and I think we've got to make sure that those are in place and are all working. Daycare was going to be starting on Monday, so that's good, and that's going to give her an opportunity to see if she can do some part-time work. I would recommend, Grace is very smart and determined. She looked great, but she was having a hard day. I would recommend like the medicines that were up on top, kind of move those to a different place, because she knows how to get a stool and move that around. But it feels like they're working out all the pieces. And I think a monitored return should be successful.
Good, I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, then I will, as I said, approve the monitored return. I'll sign that order when I get it. I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue the child's placement with mom. And I will see everybody back for a review hearing. Right now we're scheduled for June 25th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. If things are going well, Ms. Over, they may dismiss before that. So they usually like about 90 days to keep an eye on things and make sure everything's going well. So, you know, potentially, if things are all going real well and all the wheels are turning, then, you know, I may not see you again in June. I hope that's the case. So I'm going to wish you the very best of luck right now. And, but we are scheduled for that date, and then a final on August 13th of 2024. And that's also a 9 o'clock docket. So if y'all want to get those dates on your calendars, you can.
And
But
Judge,
my hope is
oh, I'm sorry, Judge. The new dismissal day would be August 30th.
August 30th. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. New dismissal date, August 30th of 2024. Okay. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Judge.
Great job, Donnell.
Thank you.
Hey, Judge, can I speak to Mr. Taylor real quick before he gets away?